Well, hey there, it's Alka. Welcome to another episode of the Creative and Ambitious Entrepreneur Podcast. I am so excited to talk about this topic today. It's all about how to overcome the struggles of earning a six-figure online business. And specifically, I'm going to give you some examples of people who we've coached in our Profit by Design Academy coaching program and our mastermind. And these people have reached the six-figure mark, and they were struggling initially. And their story that I'm going to share with you is going to hopefully help you understand that you might be in that same position right now, struggling, and trying to figure out, well, is this going to work for you? Is Zazzle going to work for you? Is this your business model for the future? Is this an opportunity that you can use and develop and create that six-figure business for you, and maybe even consistently have six-figure earnings like I've done in the past on the Zazzle marketplace without really working as hard as one would have imagined, and having far less struggles than one would ever have imagined it required. Because when we start anything, we come against roadblocks, and when we do have those roadblocks, we start to struggle, and it's not healthy. So it can harm your health, it can harm your sense of worthiness, and what I want to do in this episode is help you overcome those struggles by not only giving you some examples of people who've overcome, by defining what those struggles are and maybe they resonate with you, and then also giving you some journal prompts and discussion points to think about after you finish this episode, so that you can obviously help yourself overcome those struggles, right? And I kind of paused for a minute because it's not going to be the end. This is the beginning. Mindset work and the setting up of the parameters and the boundaries of what you are accepting as struggles and what are not actually struggles, but they're self-made struggles, is going to be a very big, long journey. This is why we actually have the Creative CEO Mastermind as part of our coaching program and training, is because once you get the action steps down, which we show you in the Profit by Design Academy, it's all about mindset. And people don't like to hear that. It's like, well, I don't have any problems with my mindset. But it's actually, it is an issue. And only once you're open to hearing those issues, and that it could be a possible issue, are you ready to accept and move into the training so that you can move past those issues. And they are very much directing where you are right now in your, what you've chosen in your life and where you are, because we are actually 100% responsible for everything that has happened to us. Now, I would say I don't like that saying as much because I'm not going to ask for cancer or anything like that. But in terms of our lifestyle, everything that we choose or not choose creates an outcome. And then that outcome is what we're experiencing right now. And unfortunately, that is 100% in our control. But if we add in the mindset, then those choices that we made may not fully be reflected in our mindset because we're covering it up, or we're kind of pushing it into the back of our minds so that we don't think about it too hard. And unfortunately, that's what gets us into trouble. And I'm here to help you move through some of these things, because I want you to have that feeling of it's really important, because and having to actually think about saying, yes, I want to start doing something about it. But it's not going to be fixed by you listening to this podcast. It's just going to get started, just so you know. All right, so the first thing is, why should we reduce the struggle besides just the frustration and the unpleasantness of us struggling? Why would we need to do that, right? Because we've actually in our society equated a struggle with achievement, and it's not. And then to undo that is like, what do you mean? What's going on? But struggle isn't good for us. It's not good for our health. It's not good for our sense of worthiness. It's not good for our ability to perform at our peak powers. And so we have to get rid of those struggles that are self-made, and also do our best to get rid of the struggles we actually have control over, which are more than we think. All right. So, and then the the other thing is that I touched on it already, is you actually don't need to struggle as hard in order to get something new to work, right? Because that's what we're doing. We're trying to create something new in our Zazzle, using Zazzle as a business platform. We're trying to create an online business, one that actually gets us to 6 figures. And so we think that needs to be a struggle. And this is the one thing that everyone really struggles with in our coaching program, is that we tell them to work for 20 hours a month and to make 100 products a month. And everyone's going like, well, first of all, that's hard to make 100 products in 20 hours. And how is it that I can make a business grow, and scale to the point of $100,000 a year with only 20 hours a month? And so the struggle there is that people are struggling with that concept, but that's what we teach, and it's actually kind of what we stand by, because Christine and Brandon are extreme examples of that, where they have had, and this is true of the people that I'm going to talk about today, they barely even have 20 hours a month. They sometimes take months off and breaks for several months because they have such demanding jobs in their other lives, in their real lives, that they don't actually have the time. So, but our program is set up in such a way that there is a schedule and there is a task list and a certain strategy around making those 100 products, making them feasibly possible to be made within the 20 hours, and run the rest of your business in that 20 hours. There is always that, and I'll just qualify it here because it's this constant conversation we have, is this does not include you painting a painting, or this does not include you going on a hike and grabbing a photograph, or this is not, or like climbing Mount Everest and then you get a picture of the goat at the top of Mount Everest. That's not included in those 20 hours. The 20 hours is taking your assets that you have, your painting or whatever, and building the business out and using certain business strategies in order for you to get the work done and deliver the products that are desirable for sale on the Zazzle marketplace, right? That is the part of the whole plan that you have to trust, and it's not that easy, and so we create more struggle for that. So that's what I really want you to do, is look at it that it's going to harm you in the long run. You can't continually struggle. It's time to not struggle anymore. It's time to create a business model where it's easy. You still have to work, but it's easy. And that requires a step-by-step proven plan and a mindset shift. And we'll go into that in a bit more detail after. Okay, so I'm going to give you 3 examples of people who have struggled initially on their own, and then they found our program, signed up, and have just like over the top amazed themselves at what they're capable of, which I love, because it first of all makes a really great story. It gives you hope, and it makes you feel like you're going to be able to do the same thing, which I really hope you can, and that you will. But to see it happen over the last 4 years, since I've known these people who have signed up and become part of our community, it's just a blessing, and I just feel really proud. I feel proud to have been in their journey and to have allowed them to alter their journey so that they weren't just continuing in a path that continued to struggle. Instead, they still worked on some things that needed to be struggled with, but they kept overcoming those struggles. And they are doing so well that they have not only made 6 figures, but 2 of the people that I'm going to talk about have made $300,000 worth of earnings from the Zazzle marketplace, not just $100,000, okay? Which is 6 figures. So let's start with Wendy. Wendy is an incredibly hardworking, talented, dedicated person who was struggling very much with just very weird, small aspects of understanding what was involved in the business. And it may have come from her learning things and then having certain mindset pieces around it. I'll just say pieces because it's not even a shift. It's just she was very dead set with certain things and didn't really want to hear another way, right? Because she thought this was the way. And it took a while for us to help convince her. And also just she made things a lot more difficult for herself because of a little bit of deviation from a plan. And then ultimately, once she just went with the plan, things just fell into place, which is really awesome. So she started in 2016 on the Zazzle platform, and then in 2017 she joined in the Profit by Design Academy. She didn't make any money or didn't get paid out until the first month of 2019, and then after that in 2019 she let's get this straight. No, sorry. By the time I've got my dates wrong. So just let's start again. She started in 2017 in June with the PDA, with the Profit by Design Academy, and then she made her first payouts, like that. She got her first payout in January of 2018. So a year, like 6 months later, and then by the end of 2018, she had made $3,700. So not bad for someone who had made $0 for 2 years, and then in 1 year she made over $3,700. Then she kept increasing her income every year because she kept getting help on the Profit by Design Academy. She also took a coaching program, she took a mastermind session with us, and she's done actually too. She was in Australia with us, so if you see her on some of the photos that and the videos on our website, you'll know who she is. Wendy's an amazing person, and she this year in 2021 has made over $64,000 just in 2021 alone. And in January of 2022, she was given her Gold Pro Designer designated status, which means she's made over $100,000 in lifetime earnings from US-based sales. So she's actually made more than $100,000, but to get that gold, you have to always base it on just whatever you sold in the US, which is kind of a strange requirement, but nonetheless, it's quite all right. So congratulations to Wendy, first of all. And she struggled with tech. She didn't know how to use the platform. In fact, she had all of her products published to her saved personal file, not to the marketplace, which was a big learning that we had to really dig deep to figure that one out. And she was having trouble promoting on Pinterest. And she also had put so much effort and time into building out a website, which is actually not necessary to start out with to make money on Zazzle. And so there were a lot of things that were kind of, excuse me, there were a lot of little things that she'd had as impressions as to how it should work, because she hadn't received the training properly. And only once she got the Profit by Design Academy training did it start to make sense to her. And she had to undo a whole bunch of things, obviously, and fix them. But it obviously, with the right plan and the right coaching and mentoring, she started to shine. And so her lack of results was not an indicator of what she was capable of. And I'm so proud and excited for Wendy, because it's really fun to see her smiling and just so happy that it's working for her. The second person I want to talk about is Brandon, and you've heard about him in other podcasts and anything you might have seen with us, but you also should realize that if you go back to some of our old podcasts and blogs, you'll see his progression, right? You'll see, we were really excited for him when he made $10,000 in his first year. Then we're really excited for him when he made $30,000, $60,000, $90,000, right? And each time it's just as significant a goal, because he had these struggles initially that made him not earn anything close to that because he had his own way of doing things, and he was trying his best on his own. And so for 5 years, before he even started with us in the Profit by Design Academy, he made a total of $2,500 in 5 years. So that's like $500 every year for about 5 years. And so that could put a real damper on whether or not you felt like this was going to be a platform that would be something that would generate that much money for you, but also your own abilities, right? And your ego and your worthiness. And gladly and luckily, Brendan had no trouble with worthiness, which is awesome. But what he did struggle with is his inability to make designs. And he's like, because he's not a graphic designer, he also had struggles with knowing how much time to put into the platform and what to do in that time, because he had a very important executive job, and he needs to give a lot of time to that job. And so he needed to have a very efficient way to do things in order to create the difference on the Zazzle platform to get to that 6 figures. And that's where the Profit by Design Academy came in. And he stuck to those 20 hours. He actually, in the first year and a half, he kept reporting specifically what he did and made a point of not going over 20 hours just to prove me wrong that it wouldn't work. But it did. And so, yeah, it works. I just love it. And so now in 2021, he's made, I don't even know if I said anything. Yeah, I said 10,000 in his first year, which was 2017. When he started in 2017 in the mid like June, July, then by the first year he'd made $10,000 from July to July. Then it started getting complicated because then he shifted back to year. So I'm not going to tell you all the numbers because they're always a little bit jumbled. But what he did do last year was $150,000. So 2021, he earned $150,000 alone. And by the time it was December 31st, 2021, he had earned over $330,000 in lifetime earnings. I'm just so happy for him. Really, really happy. And of course, he's just not giving up now. He's going to continue, right? He's not just going like riding on his laurels, and he's going to continue working at least 20 hours a month. But his idea is to get to 4 hours a month, like we do, Jen and I, and just keep maintaining that income once he's retired, because he wants to retire early. And yeah, and it was more so that, excuse me, Brendan was very uncomfortable with design skills and very uncomfortable understanding what it was that was necessary for him to do within a very focused and concentrated time in order for this business model to work, because he had all this proof and struggle that it wasn't working for him on his own for the last 5 years. And so now in these 4 years since he joined the Profit by Design Academy, he's completely shifted how he does things, what he is capable of, and now he's so comfortable. He's really excited, and yeah, I can't say any more because it's just lovely to see the change in the way that he feels empowered, that he can just basically do certain things and it'll affect his income for the better, which is the way we wanted to have everyone empowered who's come through our coaching program, of course. All right, next, Christine. Okay, so she has, I love it because she also, the two of them, Christine and Brandon, if Christine goes like, okay, how's Brandon doing? And then Brandon goes like, how's Christine doing? And then if one of them's doing better than the other, they kind of like ramp things up and see if they can best each other, which is kind of fun. But that's besides the point. Each one of you who's watching or listening is just trying to get this to work for you, right? And the reason that I always mention Brandon and Christine is because, first of all, they've let me share their journey. There's so many people that have done just as well as Brandon and Christine, but or they're on their way to becoming as good as Brandon and Christine, because they're like about a year back in terms of where they are in their progress and their training. But they Brendan and Christine are just so lovely to be able to let us hear, let me tell you about their journey so that you can be inspired. Because they were inspired by Jen and I's story. And obviously that's really nice if you're inspired by our story, but we don't like bragging. And I'd rather brag about my clients because that's what we're here for. We're here to help empower people. So Christine, in 2 years before she learned that we had a course, because we didn't even have a course back then until 2017, but on her own from around 2018 like before, yeah, in 2016, I think she'd earned about $130. And so that was all that she thought that the Zazzle platform was capable of in terms of her deciding to find a business that she could do that wasn't a part of her parents' business, and because she really wanted her own business. And the thing that she struggled with as well was that she came from a sales business that her parents had. And now she thought, okay, well, I'll become a blogger and I'll send traffic to the Zazzle marketplace and I can make affiliate income. That's how she made the $132. And then and all of a sudden she heard about us and she realized that, well, she can make money in a different way, not just as an affiliate, even though she's not creative. And so her biggest struggle was that she wasn't creative, she had no graphic design skills, and she wasn't free for a long time. So same as with Brandon, she really just didn't have the time, and she needed something where it was a system she could fall into, a proven plan that allowed her to do things within a short time period, 20 hours a month, that she could manage, even though that meant still staying up from like 10 till 2 in the morning sometimes if she needed to get that hour in or those couple hours in for that week, just because it was really busy. Or in her case, there were also other struggles where it was like no internet, because like they get a lot of monsoons over in the Philippines, which is where she is living, and also she didn't know how PODs worked or print-on-demand companies worked. And she specifically didn't understand the lucrative aspects of Zazzle with the customization. And so she needed to have that understanding that, she could do it without graphic design experience, because we showed her how to buy graphics and we showed her how to make the graphics work and get those design skills, at least in terms of how to place the designs and what to add the designs to so that you can leverage products on the marketplace. But then also the potential in herself, right? It was something so out of her comfort zone. So she'd never done anything like this before. And so she wasn't sure if it was something that she could actually accomplish. And so that was her biggest mindset struggle that she faced, even though she's incredibly strong in her mindset. But it was something that she needed to really sort of see being a possibility before she could invest into it, right? To put her efforts and time and money into it. And so that was a real struggle for her. Now, in 2017, as I said, after being on for 2 years, she joined the Profit by Design Academy. And in her first year, she made $3,800. I'm looking at my numbers. Then in the second year, she made $33,000, which is a 10-fold increase. And then in her third year, which was 2020, she made over $100,000, which is fabulous, right? Now, she did this with the Profit by Design Academy, but she also joined a mastermind at that point. And then in 2021, she made $150,000. And I was so pleased and so happy for her. In her total lifetime earnings at this point are $300,000 in terms of lifetime earnings as of December 31st, 2021. So now, each of these three people, and I've just explained all their earnings, they had struggles. And what did they overcome to help those struggles go away? And for them to see a six-figure online business being built for them through their efforts, and that they can actually achieve it. So what I'm going to do is give you some homework to journal and to ask you to write about these pieces that were identified as things that they did to actually make a difference and to see the results. They obviously did more than just journal and then change their mindset, but this is a start for you, right? It's a start for you to understand the significance of your mindset and how your mindset actually affects what your actions are and what your decisions are in terms of how you're going to move forward to accomplish the goal that you have, which is the six-figure Zazzle business. Okay, so let's do this. I've got 7 points for you, and I want you to journal on each of those 7 points. So the first one I want you to journal on is having skin in the game and making an investment of time and money. So by that, what I mean is The skin in the game is a phrase, but it just means you're totally invested. Like, not invested just financially, but also invested in attitude, invested in a bit like your desire to accomplish something or desire to achieve an outcome. That and whatever it is that it is required for it to be become an outcome, you are willing to do without question, and you are not going to make excuses or deviate from a plan, for example. And I'm actually going ahead of that myself because I've got some of these other points as points. So, but the key here is when someone is invested financially, it just automatically happens that they've got skin in the game. So they have to, it's so strange because even Brandon, the first thing he said was, well, all I want to do is make enough money to pay back for the course. And I'm going, well, that's a crazy, like, dream goal. Why would you want to just have that as a dream goal? But it just showed the way that he was thinking. He was saying, okay, that's my skin in the game, is I put this money in, I'm going to use this as my gamification to get it back out. And when I get it back out, then that also proves that I can do it. It proves the system works and that I can now do it again over and over again on repeat because I've learned what to do, right? And so by having the skin in the game, by creating that seriousness of investing, and believe me, I've done the same thing where I watch a lot of videos and YouTube videos and podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I read a lot of books. I read a lot of blogs. I always think I can get all the information for free. And there is a lot of information, including ours, for free. But once I paid to be part of a person, like a coach or a mentor's inner circle or in their program, or in their coaching program, whether that's a mastermind or a different kind of coaching program, doesn't matter. But I've paid to get more access and be in their space and hear them talking and to have them look at stuff that I was doing. All of a sudden, I was getting better results. And it was because I had the skin in the game. I paid prices, maybe even that were scary initially for me, but I've more than made my money back, just like Brandon and others in our coaching program. And the reason is that I took it seriously and that I was invested with most my time and my money, right? Because some people just buy courses and then they don't do them, me included. But I buy courses because I don't really do them because I don't have enough time and to actually implement things. But so if the coaching now with our coaching program, we actually are trying to solve that problem because I'm the perfect example of how things cannot get done because I invest but I don't do the work. And so this is now your thing, and that's why it's my number one piece is you have to do the work and you have to invest the time and do the right actions. Okay, so journal on that and see, like, would it be, like, how would you feel about having the skin in the game? How would you feel about investing? Do you feel like you should get it all for free? Do you feel like if you invest, you're not going to get there, and like to get to your goal? And if that's the case, then how come all these other people are getting to their goal, right? It means that there's actually more mindset work that has to be done on your end, unfortunately, that says that, okay, well, investment means closer to goal. It doesn't mean like, I'm just gonna, it's not fair that I had to put all this money in and I'm still not making money, right? So switch it around and ask why you would not feel good about investing, for example. Secondly, following a proven plan of a person who's already achieved what they wanted to achieve. Super important because you can even pay, like, enroll, invest, but then not follow the plan. And that's actually one of the things that we've noticed a lot with coaching clients that don't get the results like Brendan and Wendy and Christine did, is they say they're following the plan, but they're not really following their plan. They're following their version of the plan, depending on what they feel is important out of each thing. And that might be actually a little bit of offensive to some people who are listening, who are not doing so well in the training right now. And you're listening, sorry, unfortunately. We're here to help you, not to coddle, right? We're here to make it work for you. And so one of the things is that we've noticed is they'll say they've done the work, or they say they've followed the plan, they've implemented all the training, but really they're still on module 2. Or they go like, well, I've listened to all of it, but I don't like math, so I didn't do any of the module 9 and 10. Or, something like that, where think about that and be as honest as you can for yourself, because that could be the reason you're struggling, is because you're actually creating a struggle for yourself. Next is get mentors. Obviously, once these 3 wonderful people signed up with us, their life changed because they signed up with people who have gotten to the same place they want to be, because there's a difference. Coaches are, they help you and they cheer you on and they move you forward and they keep you accountable. But mentors are people who can literally tell you, I've been there, I've done that, I've actually achieved the same amount of money or earned the same amount of money as you and even more. This is what I struggled with when I was at this level of earning. This is how I overcame that. And so by continually getting mentors that have done things way beyond where you are currently is really important, and should definitely be the way of the future, not to get the help from someone who maybe has only earned a little bit of money on Zazzle and is also providing you with experience and service, which is really great. But are they serving you because they have yet to be there and have achieved that same thing themselves? Are you going to get the advice you need, or are you just going to get the advice that got them to where they are? So you need those mentors that have done what you are hoping to do in the future. Okay, the next thing is taking on a business mindset to make decisions based on results rather than the emotions, and do not deviate from them, right? As wonderful artists and creatives as we are the worst culprits for not sticking to like making a business decision or sticking to it. And it's all related to how we feel about what happened, right? So if we don't make a sale, do we feel good? No. Do we feel like the whole day's shot? Yes. Did someone write a negative review? Oh my gosh, like the whole world is just falling out from underneath of us. And every single time, even though I've already made, along with Jen, $1.5 million on the Zazzle platform, we get a negative review, it feels like I can't even design on the Zazzle platform. Everything, all my history of my success has just all of a sudden just been depleted from my brain, and I just think the worst of myself. And if you've been in that situation, then you can't make a business decision from that point of view and that mindset. And so we have to switch that off and say, hey, I've got experience. I'm following certain things that others have proven. I'm capable because I have the ability. It's just I haven't got the history, right? And even if I have the history and someone tells me something that's a negative, it's not going to faze me because it's just one person who's had a bad day, right? And so I want you to make sure that everything that you do is based on whether that's a other person who's had a bad day who's influencing your life, or you fall to that decision where all of a sudden something happens and it's like proof that you're not worthy, or proof that you can't do it, or proof that it's not the business model for you. We don't want that from you because it's not really true, right? It's something that we do to ourselves as a coping mechanism, as a way to, or even we've been trained like that in the past. And this new business, I don't even know what just happened there. I breathed in and tried to say something at the same time. This new business model is very new, right? And we're trying to make it work. So everything that's a negative that says, oh, it's not working, is going to continue to be like accentuated and over important in terms of more important than it needs to be. And so we need to make decisions with a business mindset rather than just with our hearts, which is really tough. But it's the secret. And that's kind of like when Wendy said, well, what do I need to do? And I told her she could have gotten really upset about that I told her design needed this much improvement. But instead, she made a decision business-wise saying Elka just gave her some advice that was obviously meant from the heart, even though it was harsh and it hurt her feelings because she thought she was a good designer. and it's not the point, is she is a good designer. She just, that product could have a better design on it and it would make her more sales. And of course it has, because she took that advice as a business decision rather than as a reflection of who she is and what she's capable of, right? Okay, next thing. So journal on that and say, what would happen if someone critiqued my stuff? And what would I do? Would I make a business decision, or would I just like crumble into pieces? And if you crumble into pieces, it's like, just say thank you for your honesty, and then say, okay, this is a normal reaction, but it's not serving my business and not serving me to get to 6 figures. The next thing is showing up consistently and not having any excuses. And this is really important because you want to make those 20 hours count per month. And if you show up and you're not ready to work, and you also don't do the work in those 20 hours, because there's a lot of emotional angst and anxiety and depression that comes along, which Jen and I still suffer from that to this day. We really have to work hard on getting over that with every time that we go on to the computer, because there's so much in terms of a story in our back mind, right? Is this going to sell? Am I going to be good enough and I do need, it's just the story is overwhelming. I don't even have to tell you, you know what it is. and instead we have to not make excuses not to show up consistently, and to instead consistently work on the Zazzle platform in our stores, consistently do good work when we do work, and no excuses for if something's a problem, right? The worst thing is the times when Zazzle changes things, or Zazzle's in the middle of a update or something, and unfortunately everyone goes like, well, it's Zazzle's fault, or it's frustrating that Zazzle's always doing all these things. No, that's not the excuse. You can still get work done. You can still run your business even if Zazzle's shut down, because you have the ability to do something else in your business to contribute to your business while you're waiting for it to come back up, right? And so there's no excuses. So journal on that and see how tough of a cookie you are with that one. It's a tough one. Okay, the next one is, are you willing to work smart, not hard, and get over that feeling or need to work hard? And as I mentioned, I think earlier, that's the most difficult thing that our students and coaching clients have, is they can't see themselves only working 20 hours in the month. And I'm going, like, everything's laid out for you. Just do it. Just follow the plan. Yeah, but. And it's like, until you actually do it a couple of times and believe, you're not going to feel that you can do it, because we've been told we have to work long and hard to make something work. And to have this concept shift right away is mind-blowing and mind-bending. And it's hard to come back to it, believing that it's reality. So try and journal on that and see how you would feel with or without a plan, right? Without a plan, yeah, you're going to have to work harder and longer hours for sure. With a plan, a lot of the work's been done for you, right? Jen and Elka did that work for you, i.e., we spent 14 years. You don't have to. We started having success after 5 years and making our first $100,000. Christine made it in 3 years. And it's because she didn't deviate. She worked smarter and not harder. She showed up, was consistent. She made no excuses. She adopted a business mindset. She got the mentor. She followed the proven plan. And she did not let her past results affect her decision as to whether she was capable of different results in the future. So with all of that, journal on all those points and see where you sit. And unfortunately, what's going to happen is a lot of those places, all those points, you're going to have a lot of work to do. But it's a start, right? And I really commend you and thank you for your honesty to have that as your initial starting point. If you want to talk about this some more and you want to work with us on this, you can either start with the Profit by Design Academy. Every month we do a mindset coaching training call, and we have an hour as a group coaching call that you can take part in to ask these kinds of questions and get help in moving yourself forward through these mindset blocks. And we've done some incredible work in those group settings, even though they're not like private. You can then also become part of our Creative CEO Mastermind, in addition to if you are already earning $10,000 or more. Usually it's $25,000, but we're going to drop it down a little bit so that it's really important that we get all these mindset issues out of the way and also work on your six-figure plan. So if that's what you would like, we do have enrollment starting and will be open at the time of this podcast for you to become part of our Creative CEO Mastermind. It will run from June to November, and it has been a crucial step that everyone who's moved into the $100,000 level of earnings has taken, and it has been a crucial and more importantly vital part of them getting to $100,000 as quick as they do, and and to avoid the struggles, and to quash any struggles that are self-made. And we're very kind and gentle. So please, please, please make sure that you understand that we're here to help. We're not here to judge or to make your life more difficult. So thank you so much for watching and listening. I hope this has been really helpful to help you understand not only what the struggles are, but also to overcome some of the struggles or get started. And then you know where to find us if you want to work with us to overcome the struggles and reach those six-figure a year marks for earnings. Take care. See you next week. Bye.